The Nigerian army and members of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, known as Shiites, have been at loggerheads since 2015. Some members of the sect were killed in what the army described as an attempt to assassinate the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai. However, the sect has denied the allegation. The clash took another dimension in October 2018 when the sect clashed with the military in Abuja for 3 days. Lives and properties were lost and several people were left injured on both sides. While the military claimed it had decimated and pushed back members of the militant Islamic sect Boko Haram since 2016, there are still pockets of attacks in the northeast. It assumed a new dimension following the attack on a military base in Borno State. Several soldiers were killed in the attack. The kidnap of the Dapchi schoolgirls and assassination of some aid workers suggest that the insurgents are still on ground in the region.
In broad terms, what one can say is that to an extent the Nigerian state controls Maiduguri and probably one or two other urban areas, one or two other larger towns, but the rural areas of the northeast, Borno State specifically, have long been either ungoverned or under the control of the insurgents. It's a sort of stalemate. There are a variety of factors, responsible for that. The state is very large. There's a manpower deficit. There's a technological deficit in terms of what our troops have available to them. There's a resource deficit. There are logistical problems in terms of getting supplies to the troops on time. Our forward operating bases are not properly fortified. There's a whole range of reasons.
Following reports which indicted the government and security agencies, the military announced the expulsion of the United Nations Children's Fund in the northeast, but that action was reversed almost immediately. The military also accused global human rights group Amnesty International of plotting to destabilize the country.
They have consistently been attacking the very fabric of our national unity and cohesion, particularly the military, without basis for some of these allegations.
Amnesty is not destabilizing the country. Amnesty is interested in a country where human rights is respected, promoted, and where people enjoy their lives.
In the country's north central, the military has succeeded in reducing the crisis between farmers and herders. But Benue, Plateau, and Nasarawa states, which experienced several attacks, are now battling with humanitarian crisis.
I'm a family man with 3 wives, and we are here living at the expense of only with God as helping us. If not with the mercy of God, we would have been dead, because life has been very miserable. We are suffering. People are suffering. And in fact, only God knows.
Armed banditry made an inroad into the northwestern part of the country, claiming several lives in Zamfara and Sokoto states. Other forms of insecurity like kidnapping and assassination were experienced in other parts of the country. Only recently, a former Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Alex Bade, was killed by unknown gunmen along Kefi-Abuja Road in Nasarawa State. This has raised concerns as the nation heads into a general elections next year.
Politicians also have a role to play, tone down their rhetoric. Lucky enough, both the main gladiators have chosen to watch their language. It has toned down a little bit. They should take it further. Then intelligence agencies should also wake up, so to ensure that some of those flashpoints are being noted and taken care of.
The challenge for the government in the new year is to find the best approach to quell the insecurity across the country and conduct violent-free general elections. Amaka Okafo, Channels Television News.
Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, yes, we're going to start off talking about security. You may have heard some news making the rounds, but we've got Mr. Jimoh Moshood. He's the Force Public Relations Officer. He joins us from our studios in Abuja. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, and thank you for having me, Chamberlain.
Yes, and then we also do have right here with us in the studio Mr. Dennis Amakwe, who is a former assistant director of the SSS. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Moshood, we'll have to start with you because we've got some. What can you tell us about the news making the rounds of policemen who were deployed? They were supposed to be undergoing some training for onward transmission to aid the fight against insurgency, and then they absconded. What can you tell us about that?
Thank you so much. I want to first of all start by saying that that story is not correct, and we have issued a statement. I don't know if you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Yeah. I want to recant and say, first of all, I want to let you know, and Nigerian to know that that story is not correct. We have issued a statement refuting that early yesterday. Because the facts still remain that the police mobile force, the police counter-terrorist unit, the police special forces, and other departments of the force, including the bomb squad, have been actively involved in the fight against insurgency since the inception of the force. And this personnel run into thousands of officers and men. And equally, when you look at Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa, the mobile police force have equally been deployed in the front line, in the trenches with the military, and there has not been any problem. And this report is restricted to embarrass the force, and we have equally let Nigeria know that they should disregard the report. 2,000 police personnel were deployed by the Inspector General of Police to beef up the number of the personnel that are already there. They are going to carry that core military duty, because we have the responsibility under the Police Act and Regulation, which is Act of the National Assembly, which permit us to carry out military duty within and outside Nigeria. And this is not the case because our men are on ground. The list release of the 167 personnel are names of police officers actually, but those police officers are on ground. They didn't leave the mission area. I want to equally say that personnel not only deployed in Nigeria to quell insurgency or in war-torn situation. We have our personnel currently in Somalia. We have our personnel in Liberia. We have our personnel equally in Congo, Brazzaville, and other war-torn area. And none of them left the mission area. I equally want people to know that there are insinuations again from high quarters that the police personnel want to go on Christmas. No police personnel. We are a disciplined organization, and we're used to working without holiday or without leave. So when you're in mission area, you know definitely you don't have that opportunity.
Mr. Joe, just hang on a minute. But before you go on to the Christmas period season, but could you talk to us about this now? There's this document. So if you could take a look at this particular document, it's captioned Police Wireless Message from Compo Mopol Force Headquarters, Abuja. There's a date on it. So if you look at this particular document, which is said to have emanated from, they say it's a police wireless signal. Then the last page, this contains the 190 names, and the last page here is also signed by Compo Mopol Force Headquarters, Abuja. So what can you tell us about this document? Is it real or not?
Thank you so much. That document in entirety is not real because police wireless message are internal document of the force. I want to equally let you know that when you talk of wireless message, there are messages that are not physically written, there are messages that are passed through the signalers to send across the country. But they reduce them to writing form mostly to ensure easy circulation and people to have record of them. But when you now have such a document, which is an internal document of the force being circulated in the public, then you should know, first of all, that it is not real, it is fake, and it is, in all ramifications, forged. We don't have our personnel leaving the beat. As we speak, they're on ground, and they are doing what they are deployed there to carry it out. So we want people to equally disregard the wireless message because wireless messages are internal document of the force and not for public consumption. Equally is of note is the fact that the situation still remains that the personnel are on ground and they didn't leave their beat as people are speculating.
Okay, so why is it then that some commissioners of police received this document?
I think even from your own side, I don't know where you can bring the proof of any commissioner of police receiving such a document. As I speak with you, as the first public relation officer, I receive all wireless message of the force, and this have not been received in my office throughout the throughout the all day or even before the break. So no commissioner of police has received any wireless message of this regard.
As you know, we spoke to some of them, but of course we can't name who those persons are because of the way some things are. So they spoke to us in confidence that, well, they actually got this kind of message. So one wonders then, is it that the force is trying to cover this up? Because some of the other allegations here, as you can see, that they say that almost 96% of the names here are Southerners.
Thank you so much. When you bring in sentiment into the fight against insurgency, that is quite unfortunate. I'm not regarding to you. I'm talking about those who are circulating the document and probably those who are publishing it. You don't promote insurgency. Every arm must be on deck, including the media, to support the government and to support all the forces, including the Nigerian police force, in the fight against insurgency. You don't draw us back. We have 2,000 police personnel deployed, and you are alleging that 167, which does not even constitute up to 10% of the personnel deployed, that they, for reason allegations, like you pointed out, that they are not there. And we are these personnel are with the Nigerian police force. We are the one that deployed them, and we are telling you that they are there. I don't know. I don't know what advantage or what point somebody is trying to derive from this. We see the publication as promoting insurgency, which everybody should condemn. The safety of all Nigerians and the safety of all citizens is very, very important.
So what do you say then to the comments by the military? Just hang on a minute. The comment by the military that they actually brought back those who left. So what about that?
Thank you so much. If you say they brought back, who brought them back? I think that it's important to know who actually brought them back. The point I'm trying to make before you caught me, but let me react to this before I go back to the point. The matter still remains that our personnel are disciplined personnel. They can't leave their beat because of Christmas break or because of any other consideration as being peddled by some authority. But the fact remains that the police will continue to be police officer. There are rumors of there being the rumor of intention to conscript them into full military personnel, but they still remain personnel of the force. And that is why when they make inquiry, the Commissioner of Police in Yobe State was dispatched to inform them. And they were on ground at their training. Nobody left the training venue.
Okay, just hang on a minute. Let's bring in